I have a question for you. Did you make a New Year's resolution this year? Like you started the year off with a New Year's resolution, you're going to do something, lose weight, work out, eat better, read the Bible. Well, I don't know. People come up with all kinds. And so I started to do the same thing. I had some goals for the year, but I selected to do a word of the year. And that word was intentionality. And you may have heard me talk about it before. And so I want to check in today. It's like the 103rd day of the year as I'm recording this video, on my goal for intentionality and rhythms in my life. And I thought about a story from Daniel chapter 1 that will help me, hopefully help you connect faith and life when you think about making New Year's resolutions or just committing to doing stuff intentionally. That's what we're talking about today in this episode of Connecting Faith and Life. Hello, everybody. I'm Mr. Brown with Proclaim Ministries. I couldn't get that out. I was going to say Connecting Faith and Life. Well, this is Connecting Faith and Life. I'm your host, Mr. Brown, and I'm so appreciative of all of you who watched this video, listen to the podcast, and support the ministry. You can become a supporter of the ministry as well if you choose to become a Proclaim partner. Yes, a Proclaim partner, someone who donates to the ministry on a regular basis. That can be $5 a month. It could be $7 a month. It could be whatever you want to do a month. But I'm thinking, hey, $5 a month is like less than a cup of coffee, and you can donate that every single month to help become a Proclaim partner. Now, I'm looking down here to find where my Proclaim partner button is so it can pop up on the screen, and it don't seem to be working right now. I told you I'm trying this new system, so if you're watching this on YouTube or on our app, you see me fumbling around trying to find the button to show you the Proclaim partner logo thing, and it's not popping up right now, so I don't know what's going on with it, but you can still become a Proclaim partner even though you don't see it on the screen. Just visit proclaimministry.com/partner. That is proclaimministries.com/partner to become a Proclaim partner. There it is. It just popped up on the screen. It didn't work with the button, but it's working. proclaimministry.com/give to become a Proclaim partner. I don't know if I said the wrong thing or the right thing. Anyway, thank you for your support, and I really appreciate it. But today in this episode, I want to talk about intentionality, or as the version of the Bible, the story I learned, the word was purposed. Daniel purposed in his heart not to defile himself with the king's food. If you know the story, familiar with it, the story is found in Daniel chapter 1. And I'll open up the Bible right there, Daniel chapter 1. And this has been a really good Bible story for me to teach. I really like teaching this Bible story. I'm going to read it out of the English Standard Version first. I don't know, actually do New English Standard. I don't know. New International Version. As you can see, if you're watching this, I have several different Bibles. I use the Olive Tree Bible app to really study Bible myself, because I like the fact that it's on all of my devices. And I like the fact that I have my commentaries, other stuff in the corner here if you're watching online. All these things right here, I can do commentaries. I can even split it in half. Let me see if I can do that for you real quick. If you're watching, I can split the screen in half and look at commentaries and see what different people had to say about it. Like, this is a new Bible commentary. I can look and see, hey, what are some thoughts that they had about this as well? So I really like this app, so check it out. Olive Tree. It is free, but you can buy resources to help you grow in your faith and connect faith and life. So Daniel chapter 1, starting at verse 1. The third year of the reign of in the third year in the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem to besiege it. And the Lord delivered Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, into his hands, along with some of the articles from the temple of God. These he carried off to the temple of his God in Babylonia, and put them in the treasure of the house of his God. Verse 3. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, and I'm going to mispronounce some of these names the way I heard them pronounced, so I'm repeating it. Ashpenaz, chief of his court officials, to bring into the king's service some of the Israelites from the royal family and the nobility. Young men without any physical defect, handsome, showing aptitude for every kind of learning, well-informed, quick to understand, and qualified to serve in the king's palace. He was to teach them the language and the literature of the Babylonians. So what's going on here, king of Babylonia, Nebuchadnezzar, seized Israel, or Judah, and he took the stuff, the valuables, and he took some people. And he tried to take these guys, and we're going to find out their names in a moment, and make them serve in their kingdom, right? And the thing is that not just to serve, but they wanted to change their language and their food to serve in the king's palace. They wanted them to learn their literature. They want to conform them into the image or to the ideology of the Babylonians. Let's continue, verse 5. Then the king assigned them daily amounts of food and wine from the king's table. They were to be trained for 3 years, and after that, they were to enter the king's service. Among those who were chosen were some from Judah: Daniel, Hananiah, Meshach, and Azariah. The chief officer gave them new names. Again, he wanted to conform them to the image of Babylonian, the Babylonian way of thinking. He gave them new names. Daniel, the name Belteshazzar; Hananiah, Shadrach; and Meshach, and to Azariah, Abednego. But Daniel, verse 8 is where I'm focusing today, but Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and the wine. He asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself in this way. So they got these guys, Daniel and his boys, I call them the Hebrew boys, got them together, tried to change their name, change their thinking, their knowledge, and even give them certain foods. Now, I know there was restrictions about food they can eat. I don't know exactly what the restrictions were in this case, but Daniel knew he was not supposed to eat this food. It would defile him if he ate the food that was offered, that the king was offering. And so he rejected. He resolved in his heart. He purposed. I think I learned this in the American Standard Version. It says Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the king's dainties, all right? So he really did not want to do this. He chose not to do it. And I imagine there were other people that were taken from Judah into Babylonian to serve in the king's court, as kings in the king's kingdom, that probably were participating, eating the food. And Daniel made a choice not to do it because he knew he wanted to follow God. He purposed in his heart not to follow God. And I used the word earlier when I said conform. That reminds me of Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Nebuchadnezzar wanted to conform them to the way of thinking, the way of living, the way of everything based on the Babylonian gods, and even gave them new names, called them something different. And all the names represented some Babylonian god. But Daniel said, no, I'm not going to be a part of this. I'm going to serve the king. I'm going to serve my king, that is God. He purposed in his heart not to defile himself with the king's food. You talk about intentionality. And I would guess it had to be hard because it seems that everybody else was doing it. Other people who were from Judah were probably consuming, being a part of it. And they were being transformed more than they knew they were being transformed. But I like the way Daniel handled it. Look at verse 9. Now, God had caused the official to show favor and compassion to Daniel. But the official told Daniel, I'm afraid of my lord the king, who assigned your food and drink. Why should he see you looking worse than all the other young men your age? The king then would have my head because of you. So he was afraid because even though he liked Daniel, he was afraid for his own life because the king saw them not looking good. Hey, why are they looking good? What's wrong with them? Look at verse 11. Daniel then said to the guard, whom the chief official had appointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Meshach, and Azariah, please test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearance with that of the young men who eat the royal food, and treat your servants in accordance with what you see. So I like the fact that Daniel just didn't outright rebel, but he sought permission. He went to his authorities, and respecting the authorities says, hey, this is what I want to do. Now, I believe Daniel would have did it anyway because I think he followed God regardless. We'll learn later in Daniel's life that he was willing to even be eaten by lions to follow God. But he appealed to the authority that was in front of him, above him, to do it a different way. And guess what? God offered him favor. And I think that's important. If you know you want to do the right thing and you got an employer that wants you to do the wrong thing, appeal to them in respect. But then if they don't let you do it, still want you to do the wrong thing or the crooked thing, then you got to follow God. I love in Acts where Peter and disciples were told not to preach the name of Jesus. And they said, should we obey you or obey God? And so I think we got to get to that point. But first, it's okay to appeal to those who are in authority over you for this way. And Daniel did that. Verse 15. At the end of 10 days, they looked healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. So the guard took away their choice food and wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables instead. To those 4 young men, God gave knowledge, understanding, and all kinds of literature and learning. And Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds. At the end of the time set before the king to bring them into service, the chief officials presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. Look at what happened, verse 19. The king talked with them, and he found none equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered the king's service. In a matter of wisdom and understanding about which the king questioned them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and the enchanters in his whole kingdom. And Daniel remained there until the first year of King Cyrus. What I like about this story is that Daniel purposed, resolved, he made a New Year's resolution that he would not defile himself with the king's food. He chose to follow God, even though it was uncomfortable, even though it wasn't popular, and even though it would cause some tension with the people that was over him. But he appealed to them, and God gave him favor. And the reason that story made me think my word for the year, intentionality, made me think of it because I want to be intentional in following God. I want to be intentional. I want to be purposed. I want to be resolved in following God in the way Daniel did. Even when there was pressures, it had to be other people from Judah, God's people, who were doing what the king wanted. And then God gave them favor, and God blessed them and made them 10 times, 10 times smarter, 10 times healthier than all the other ones. What was the word? I want to misquote the word. Made them 10 times, after 10 days, any food, young man. Let me go back here. What does it say? I don't want to misquote this because sometimes I do that. I get so excited about stuff. The result, verse 15, into the 10 days, they look healthier and better nourished than any of the young men who ate the royal food. So it wasn't 10 times. It was after 10 days, they looked so much better. They were in good shape because I believe God blessed them. They were intentional about following God, even when it was difficult, even when it was hard. Please think about that as you live your life as a follower of God and you're trying to connect faith and life. It can be difficult at school under peer pressure. Today I was out of school and we talked about the idea of being the thermostat or the thermometer. When a lot of kids enter the classroom of school, they're thermometers. They're looking around and feeling what everybody else is doing. Then they'll figure out what they'll do. If other people have attitude, they'll have attitude. Versus being a thermostat where, you know what, I'm going to set my temperature and I'm expect the room to come to where I'm temperature at. And it was so funny because one of the girls, she came in, I was packing up for going to the next group, and she smiled at me. And I went back to some other stuff and I looked back again. I said, do that again. She's like, what? Do that again. She said, what? Smile. She said, no, it's not worth it because it's school, right? She was negative. And I really explained to her, listen, don't let what you think other people are like in this school to make you like them. Not wanting to smile, what you think they're like. Your smile can brighten up the room. Your smile can be contagious. As a matter of fact, look at that girl smile. Look at her friend, she smiled. That girl smiles. Now watch her. She's going to look at that girl and she's going to smile. Other girl smile. All right? It's contagious. And I want to encourage you as a follower of Christ to choose to be the thermometer wherever you go, that you are bringing the light of Christ wherever you go, that your purpose, you're resolved in your heart and your mind to represent Christ wherever you go. So whether you're at school, whether you're at work, that you don't go in and go, how is everybody else acting? How should I act? But you go in and say, you know what? I'm a follower of Christ. I'm going to let my light shine so people see my good work and glorify my Father who's in heaven. That's what Jesus taught in Matthew chapter 5, that we should be those who are being salt and light in the world and purposing in our hearts, resolving our hearts, not to do what everybody else is doing, but to honor God and how we live, how we eat, all the things, how we work, because we are children of God. And so I want to challenge you, this is challenging me, to live with intentionality, to be intentional in how I live my life before the world. Because this world, this life that I have is not my own. It is not I've been gifted this time. I've been gifted treasures and talents for God. I am a faithful servant, and I want to be found faithful as a steward, as a manager of all things God has blessed me with, including my time. Tell me what you think about it. What are your thoughts about this idea of intentionality and even the story of Daniel? This is one of your favorite stories. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment in the comment section. You can always send us an email and let us know that you're watching or listening to the podcast. You can visit our website, proclaimministry.com. We love to hear from you. And again, we love you to become a Proclaim partner to help us create more content to help kids and students connect faith and life and equip the adults to disciple them. And maybe you're one of those adults who are out there listening to this. Hope this is encouraging you to live for God by connecting faith and life. Until next time, thank you for joining us. I always try to end with the word peace.